as we were discussing to establish from where did actually the process of printing start. But before understanding this one, we need to understand the history of China. China, the first book was printed in China, later in Japan, from then it passed on to Korea. So China, Japan, Korea, all are the eastern countries of Asia. They are geographically located on the eastern corner of Asia. For the first time from east, the knowledge passed on to west. Yes, it got blended with the technology and returned back again. Maybe it is a good understanding, but the basic knowledge always started from the east in regarding to the printing. So in 594 AD, the first books which were printed in China, and later they were also printing on the rubber paper, which was a thick paper because China people have more amount of rubber crop available for them. So as per their requirements and as per the availability of the resources, they were easily able to produce more number of books or volumes of writing volumes. So why did I mention it as the writing volumes, not as printed books? Because during that period the printing machine was different when it compared to our modern printing machine. So they used to make the wooden blocks which are being inked. After the wooden blocks are inked, then they were made to copy that one. So as the pages are very thin, they used to make the pages to fold and bind it on the other edge, that is accordion book. The accordion book is a book which has the compilation of all the written pages and tied or printed or bounded on the other side. Like how do we do this binding of the modern days? In that way it has been tied on one side, which allows to get a look of a book. That's how the printing started, and during those periods we have excellent calligraphists. The calligraphists are the people who have a stylish and a very beautiful handwriting. They used to copy exactly how does it look from one page to the other page. That's how the writing got transformed into various number of volumes, and then it got on to move on to the west. But in China, why is printing very famous in China? What is the necessity for China to print or to have the written records of all these things? In China, way back itself, in the 8th century itself, they had the habit of recruiting bureaucrats through written examinations. That is a basic fundamental necessity for what China people required the printing knowledge. So the printing material served for them to recruit huge bureaucratic system. So the bureaucratic system has been recruited through the civil services examination, which is in India also we have the civil services examination. What we have after we got independence, a Union Public Service Commission board was set up in order to recruit efficient and complement or the people, those who can look at the issues. So in the process of recruiting the able and the efficient administrative officers or the bureaucrats, even in India we have the civil services examinations, which are considered as the topmost examinations in India. So availing or attempting for civil services has also been considered as a credit or as a privilege opportunity for most of the Indians. But now as we are discussing about the Chinese recruitment policy, China people have followed this one way back before us, though it may not be so tough as we are following today. But the civil services examination was considered as a high quality examination during that period, because in China they need more number of bureaucrats in order to run their administration. So in this process they would always like to have a good consistent examination by having a printed paper for that. That's how the necessity for having a printed paper examination has generated in China due to this one. That is the reason why we have the printing more officially developed in China, though it has been done by calligraphists or on the wooden blocks or on the rubber sheets. Printing has been encouraged on a very large scale by the own imperialistic state, means the own government. That is the reason why printing has been focused more in China rather than in other parts of the world. So later on, after the imperialists started to use it for the state services or the civil services, the merchants started to use for their day-to-day business activities, and the reading habit has been generated to almost all the people, especially for the rich women who are staying at the houses, who are the wives of the higher officials, used to write, and these books were also been again published, and that's how the poetry, the prose, the narratives, the autobiographies, all these started to spread from one corner to the other corner. So now from the West, how did the people come to know about the East? So from West, the British officials established their outpost in Shanghai. So from there, the knowledge started to cross across from East to West and again from West to East. So once the knowledge crossed from East to West, why did it come back again to West? The knowledge which was in China was a bit in the unused technology, where the technology has not been blended into the printing process. They are using it in the old traditional method. So when it went on to the Britishers towards the West, there they added up with the technology and brought back again the modern machines. So now in China, earlier before we have the hand printing machines, but now we have the mechanical printing machines which are being substituted by the earlier hand machines or the wooden block machines. That's how it can be traced that first printing has been initiated in China. They need printing machines because they need to understand or they need to conduct the recruitment process which was done on a huge basis to recruit their bureaucratic system. So the civil services examination were conducted during that period only, maybe around some 8th to 12th century BCE. We have the historians remarking that China people used to conduct the recruitment services examination or civil services examination in order to recruit bureaucrats. So as the time passed on, the king sponsored this one, or the imperial state sponsored for the printing machines, the conduction of the examinations, and all these things. The merchants started to maintain their daily records on the printing basis. So in order to establish the requirement and necessity or fulfilling the needs, the civil servants recruitment and all these things were encouraged by the Britishers. And as the time passed on, the merchants started to use their day-to-day basis activities, everything on record, and later on the reading habits has been initiated, and with the reading habit, looking at the understandings, people started to produce their own inner voices by most of the women. So women who are from the official backgrounds, who are the wives of the officials, who are coming from very rich communities, they used to start writing, and then they also wrote many of their biographies, and all these things initiated the process of understanding how the writing has spread in China. But this has got an extreme phase of it after it got blended with the Western knowledge. That blending happened when the Western people set up their outpost in Shanghai, whereas earlier we used to have hand printing done in China, but with the adding of the knowledge from the West at Shanghai outpost, where initially they got the knowledge of printing from the East, later it got into the West, again it came back with the blend of the technology, and they got the machine printing added on for that. So that's how the knowledge got added and enhanced from hand printing to machine printing.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.